Hey, everybody. Well, I'm back with someone you should know, and it is truly an honor, a privilege to get to have a conversation today across the globe with someone who's become a dear friend of ours and of Restore Sevens, Shlomi Harazi. He is an Israeli citizen who was a tour guide for us on our last tour, which was last summer in 2023. Every year, I think it can't get better. And that's how I feel about our last tour. On that particular tour, we had about 170, 175 people that went with us. And so Shlomi was one of four guides that we had. It was our first time interacting with him, certainly not his first time, which became obvious. But he quickly became a favorite of those that were with him every day. And then we all kind of switched it up and got to interact with the different guides. And he became a favorite of everybody's at that point. So when the October 7th terrorist attack, the invasion really on Israel, happened, we quickly reached out to anyone and everyone that we had any kind of personal connection with there, just to see, how they're doing and see how we could, as a ministry, come alongside of them and, encourage them, support them in any kind of way. And we have stayed in touch with Shlomi ever since. And if you haven't heard by now, we actually have come alongside him in two significant ways. And in just a moment, I'm going to bring him on and we're going to have a conversation that I think you're going to want to hear. Asking him some really direct and what others might not have wanted to answer the questions I'm going to ask him, but he was no questions are off limits. So hang in there with me. I'm going to finish telling you our connection with him, even as Restore Seven. So, some generous donations were given through many of you, and we were able to distribute those to Shlomi and some others there that are just trying to do life in the midst of war. And because his career is completely intertwined with tourism, and that has come to a complete halt, no end in sight at the moment, he's a good provider for his family. And he said, rather than just taking a handout from you guys, which I'm grateful for, I would like to see if I can add value to, the audience that walks with you guys. And so, we came up with an idea between us. And one of the things that he is working faithfully on in the background right now is a virtual tour that is going to be eventually published on Restore 7 TV. And we thought, for those of you that might not ever get the opportunity to go to Israel, this would be a great way for you to get led by an actual Israeli guide there from Israel. And so he's working on that. He's got several episodes already under his belt that we're working on editing. It's going to be really very unique experience for people to be able to watch on Restore 7 TV. And so another thing that he is doing is he's launched a Proteon, see, we'll find out if I'm saying that right, channel where you can subscribe and get some content from him and actually have various times with him where you can hear him teach and ask questions and interact. I like to think of it as like your own personal connection to Israel. And, as followers of Jesus, we have this love affair with the Holy Land, and questions that come up, even as you're reading scripture, in your own time with God. There may be things that come up where I wonder the story behind this, or how far was it from here to there? And then we've got actual current events happening in the land that we love with the people that we love. And to be able to ask those direct questions of somebody who actually lives there and who is an expert and continually becoming a better expert on things of historical value and biblical value there. So we're excited to kind of introduce Shlomi to you as a personal connection that you can also have. He'll tell you more about how you can get involved in that at the end of our conversation here today, but let's welcome Shlomi.
Hello,
Hi.
hello, hello, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. I got to hear this beautiful introduction, so I'm hoping that I will live up to the to all the this this promising introduction.
Well, it's good to see your face, and I guess it's morning here and late afternoon for you there, right? Y'all are
Yeah,
about it.
it's we just finished with dinner. Me, my wife, and 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old daughter
I got
of
to meet
mine.
her, and she is just absolutely beautiful, like her mama. Well, I would love for you just to start by introducing yourself, kind of a little overview of who you are, where you come from, and what you do.
Right. So I'm almost 40. Everybody keep telling me that I don't look 30, so
No,
it's always a compliment. But I am literally celebrating my 40th birthday in like a month and a half, so it's gonna be pretty much in the middle of April. I was born in Israel, in a place that it's not too far from Tel Aviv, so the center of Israel. A lot of Israelis call the area around Tel Aviv the center of Israel. I
are you
grew
able
up.
to show us on the map behind you?
Yeah. So Tel Aviv is this area. So just a little bit to the east, 20 to 40 minutes east from Tel Aviv. So that's the Mediterranean over here. That's the Dead Sea over here. And that's the Sea of Galilee up there. Tel Aviv is in the middle of the shoreline of Israel. And Petah Tikva, the place that nobody knows if they don't live in Israel, it's just 20 minutes, 40 minutes east to Tel Aviv. So basically the metropolitan of Tel Aviv.
How close are you guys to the beach?
20 to 40 minutes depends on traffic. Could be more, really. Traffic could be horrible sometimes,
Yeah.
but basically that's how far. Like in the middle of the night you can do it in 2 3 in the morning you can do it in 20 minutes. That's how far we are.
Such a beautiful area. Wow.
Yes, yes. We have a lot of sunny days in Israel, not a lot of rain, not a lot of winter. So mostly that's mostly what we get. And people complain about this miserable winter that we have here, and I find it very funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I grew up in a Jewish family. There's so many ways of being Jew, just the same as there's so many ways of being Christian or a believer. So we called ourselves traditional Jews, and that means that you Friday night when you have like the celebrative meal of Shabbat, getting ready for Shabbat, Sabbath, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, and you do all the prayers and the singing, and after we were done with that, we turned on the TV. Or later on, when I grew up as a teenager, I went out with friends to with a car, obviously, to Tel Aviv. And someone that observes the Shabbat, the Sabbath, and supposedly fulfilling all the commandments of God, he's not supposed to do that. But I'm just giving you an idea of what is a traditional Jew. And when we came to the age of serving in the army, I have 3 sisters. Two of them are very close to my age. So I'm about to be 40. The second one is about to be 39. The third one is about to be 38. So there was a time that the three of us served in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, simultaneously. That
Wow.
was crazy. Just I was at the end of my service, and the young one was at her beginning. The three of us were serving in the army. So the oldest among the three, she started getting really interested and intrigued by learning about Judaism, going back to the roots. And eventually she went through a process known as to get back to the roots, get back with an answer. And she influenced some of the other members of the family. So basically, I have 3 sisters that are today are ultra Orthodox Jews.
Oh,
Basically,
wow.
they're their husbands, their kids, and everything.
Mhm.
And I thought I'm going to be one as well. But then I went to a tour guiding course in 2013, and for the first time in my life, I read the New Testament, because the New Testament is not part of the Jewish
Right.
Bible.
Mhm.
And when I brought it for the first time home, my sisters were like, "What is this? This is not allowed. It's
Right.
what's the word? Well, I forgot the word. Blasphemy. It's blasphemy." I'm like, "Hey, this is my chores as part of my learning as a tour guide. So just let it be. It's happening. This is happening. I'm reading this." And I learned about Christianity, about Islam. I went back and read the Old Testament. Um, um, learning about other religious, the process of how the Jewish different denominations came to be. Jewish closet book, we call it, because
Mm.
for Jews, um, we have the written Torah, which
Mhm.
is the book that you're familiar with, basically the Old Testament,
Mhm.
and we have the oral Torah. And
Mm.
for Jews, or at least for the believers, the Torah is only complete with those two parts together. So that's a big part of it. Anyway, what I was trying to say, so I thought I'm going to be religious.
Mhm.
And then I started leading a lot of tours with Christians, just like the groups that you brought here to Israel. And I went through a personal process, and I'm in a place today that I don't have all the exclamation marks. I have some question marks and things I'm not sure about, things I'm still learning about or investigating. But to me, today, Jesus, which most Israelis, most Jews, or at least most Jews in Israel are ignorant about, is a fascinating character. I'm like, you can ask me, is he the son of God? Did he walk on water? I don't know. I don't, but I know he was an incredible person with in beautiful values, an amazing leader, um, charismatic. And there's still things I don't know. Sometimes I get really emotional in tours.
Mm.
I start tearing, and I don't even really know why. And there are things that are happening within my body, or within between me and my wife, and it's just doesn't really have an explanation to it. So that's about like how I grew up as far as my religious perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with your family, there's just kind of a mutual respect, like they know you're a tour guide and they're okay with the fact that you're not as not as thorough in your Jewish traditions as they are, or is that a point of difficulty in your relationship with your family?
Well, that's been going on for so many years now,
Yeah,
that you know how it is. You've been married to Johnny for how long?
35 years.
35 years. So you know that there's a lot of different points where you hit certain barriers. When you pass them, then the ocean is like a little more quiet than usually. And that's
Mm,
exactly what happened with my family. So the Friday night meals, when we gathered together, the entire family,
yeah.
when it was at the beginning of the process that my sister went through, there was
Hmm.
a lot of serious struggles. And then again, a lot of serious struggles came when I was going through my school for being a tour guide,
Yeah.
and also leading tours. So
Yeah.
you run into like new information, and I'm like, hey, did you know that this, and suddenly you come to them. You know, I always tell people when we are touring in Israel, I tell them, I hear a lot of pastors or spiritual leaders who gives teaching in front of a crowd in Israel, and in many cases I see them or I hear them kind of being sarcastic or even mocking
Mm.
different people that are mentioned in the New Testament. People that, for example, if you remember the miracle in Bethesda, when Jesus cured the blind man, right? And a lot of people ask him, "Is it you? Is it not you?" And like, and the pastors, I hear them like they're making fun of those people. And I saw it from a close angle. Just
Mm.
imagine you have a certain faith, a certain belief your
Yeah.
entire life. You're
Right.
30, you're 40, you're 50, and suddenly someone comes and show you a whole different way, or is shaking your very cores of beliefs and what you knew your entire life. How will you accept it? I mean, if your faith is really strong, then you'll be empathetic. But if it touches you, if
Yeah.
it's is shaking your belief, you'll get angry.